Good morning. Welcome to OG's Fixin Stuff. That's right, old geezers fixing stuff. We have here today that has given us a little bit of problems with some leaking. And it's food grade grease that's safe if it gets into food, but it's very irritating and it looks terrible. So if you're making a lighter batch and this black grease comes out, not very fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace a couple O-rings, some food grade grease, use a couple of different tools, show you some more expensive ones, some cheaper ones that you can get just about anywhere. Whatever you want to use. I'm going to place some cardboard down. You can use bags, you can use different things. So it all depends on what you want to use. I hope that this is informational for you guys, that when it happens to you guys, it is fixable. And yes, us old geezers, we can fix it. Well, I'm back. I got a couple of tools out. I put the cardboard down, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that we may need to discuss along the way. So here are some of the tools. Again, scissors, basic screwdrivers, punches, different scraping devices to help pull the grease out depending on what you want to use. Some different tools. Again, we got a couple of hammers over there, his and hers. Got old geezerettes too. Flashlight, of course, the grease, and then we have the unit here itself. So being able to unlock it, lift it up, take the bowl out, definitely helps. And then there's going to be some bolts up underneath here that we're going to have to take out. We're going to have to take out the little pin and have to punch it out right there. We're going to have to take this plate off around the outside, a couple of screws, the wire, and we're going to start here real quick. So excuse my lack of camera ability. I'm going to work on that later on, but again, here's some different tools that we're going to be using. These are the ones that I normally use, and so right now I have a Phillips here, and then up underneath here I have a square one, and then I do believe it's a square one up underneath here. This little ridge right here catches grease, but then it overflows, and then you can see it starts dripping down as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen a couple things, and I'll come right back. So now that we have those off, we're going to take this plate off. Name plate. You're going to see a bunch of grease and oil, and we're going to want to wipe that off. We're going to want to wipe all this stuff off. The reason for taking that off, later on, we're going to have to separate it from here. And it's easier to be able to pry up into these little holes to separate this whole unit right here. So we do have to take this off, and we're going to clean it in the process. Kind of pry this off just a little bit. We don't want to ding it up or anything, so I'm going to come up at an angle and tap this off a little bit, so that way we can pull this ring off, and then we have five bolts up here, or screws, that need to come off. So you can pry it off with your hand. You can take one of, the persuaders, whichever color you choose, whichever way you want to do it, but you need to pry this plate off carefully, trying not to scratch it or mar it. And here you see it came right off with just a little bit of tap. Obviously it's been leaking for a little bit. And we're going to kind of come up here and show you the different screws that need to come off. And at the same time, we have this little pin right here that needs to be knocked out. And you can see I was able to punch it out with that. I did need to finish it out, taking it out all the way with something a little thinner because this doesn't extend out far enough. I did wind up choosing the pink persuader, and I'm sure my daughters will enjoy the pink persuader. But you can see definitely it needs to be cleaned out. My next step is to take all these screws out here and then drop this whole unit down. So let's go back why I like using this particular set. It also comes with a little screwdriver, and these little screwdrivers, obviously help shorten everything up compared to, a smaller or longer screwdriver. But it also comes with an extension. These do fit these other extensions as well, and it's magnetic on top of it. So I do like this set. I am going to purchase many more of these sets just because I enjoy everything being so compact, and it's a good quality tool also. Here we have some grease that's liquefied, and it is quite dirty up there. So I'm going to clean this up here, and then I'm going to pull these screws out, and then I'm going to pull this top off. So I'll be right back. I have flipped this back so you can see the positions of the screws. I've got 5 of them around here. And here they are laying on the ground, or on the cardboard. Then we have 4 screws holding in the top of this plate. One of them has a washer on it, and that washer needs to go into one of the 2 backs. I guess it doesn't make any difference which one it is, but I'm going to keep it going back into the opposite side here on the bottom, but that one with the washer is going to go on the other side. Now the manufacturer says you have to have that for balance purposes. I'm going to take their word on it. This kind of is a little spacer between the 2, so you're going to have that to take off. And then you're going to have one on the top once we open this up. But you can see this is pretty bad in here, and yeah, you don't want that dripping into your food. So I have my really fancy tool here that I'm going to use to scrape some of this grease up. Now, when we start looking at how much grease is in here, we kind of want to put the same amount of grease back in after it's all cleaned up. So I bought a 3-ounce jar, and they say that's typical for the replacement on these. And I don't think I'm going to need any more, but you can, this little unit here comes out, and there's 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. They are right here, same size. You don't have to worry about mixing them up. You just pop them out of there. This whole unit comes off. And yep, that's going to be cleaned up really good. So now we got this here. We can push up with the gears and the rod and pull everything out. And look, there's another washer right here. So you're going to have 2 washers, the one on the bottom that I showed you, and then this one. So when we pull this out, it may disappear. So just be careful when you pull this out that you keep track of that washer. The rod has a keyway in it, and then you can slide it out. I don't prefer to slide it out over the O-ring. That's what keeps all this from coming in. So I'm going to slide it out through here. And I'm going to clean this up really well. I'm going to put this back together, and I'm going to replace this O-ring right here. And so now you can see that slides right back on there. It's cleaned up. I think it's cleaned up enough. If you want to clean it down a little bit more. I did use a toothbrush. No, I did not use any one particular's toothbrush. That's just a casualty. We will not be reusing it. At least I certainly hope not. Anyway, this is cleaned up enough. I'm going to stack it over here with the other gears, and then we're going to move on to cleaning the inside of the housing out. Well, after cleaning this out a little bit, I'll clean it up a little bit more. I pulled this gear out. This is for the sausage making, or the attachment gears. So that's cleaned out. Majority of this cavity is cleaned out. I've got the gears cleaned up. Now after putting the washer back down and then pushing the rod back down, you can see that the keyway is right there. And it's all the way down. It spins good. I did put a little bit of the new grease down, and that way it spins nice and smooth. The new O-ring is on, and everything is running nice and smooth, as you can see. So I put a little bit of grease on that gear. Spin it around, make it nice and smooth. I've got this gear here that goes in, and see that goes right onto there, slips right on there. And so this is the shield for the grease, so only so much builds up on the gears as it spins. Now I'll put those 3 screws in there. So I'm going to tighten up these 3 screws here. Then I'm going to take this housing. I'm going to put a bunch of grease around this shaft. Some in where the top of the gear shaft goes into, and some around this gear as well. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to make sure that this wire harness slides back into its home right here. So therefore, the wiring doesn't get pinched. I've got a bunch of grease all over the top, and it will spread down as it rotates. So putting on the back of the mixer, it has a couple of feet that come up and get tucked up in here, and it has to sit just right and securing it down. Now, you'll notice the wire only goes in one way, and that is the back flat side here and then a rounded side in the front. I'm going to push it all the way forward, and also you'll notice that this has got a good flat seam on it all the way around, knowing that it is all the way down before we screw it back on. So I'm going to screw this back on, and then we're going to continue on. And obviously, once you have this in there correctly, the screw will go in there nicely, and you'll know that it's completely pretty secure. Remember, the one with the washer comes off one of these holes in the back. Now, it came off of this hole, that's where it's going to go back into, and then the other 2 go here and here, just to secure this top onto in the back, and then the other 5 will go in the front. Then I can start doing the reinstall of the lower gear unit. And I'm going to clean this up really good before I decide to put it back in, obviously. So once we get that in there, then we can actually get it rotated and get it spinning just to make sure everything's good. So if we remove the retaining clip here off the top, you can pull this gear out, and then it has another cotter in it behind it. Then we can slide it out. Got a little washer. Slide it out, and then we can replace the O-ring. Now, you just want enough to coat all of the gears, and then we're going to persuade that O-ring into that hole, and that's what will seal everything back up. Now, you may or may not be able to see it's lined up all the way. So what I do, I'm going to have a little screwdriver. I'm going to poke it through that hole and just kind of make it fit. So now it's lined up better. And now when I go to put my keyway in there, it will actually fit in there and not have any struggles. So now we have the faceplate and the catch ring to just push on there, and then just install this back on there with a couple screws, and then we are ready to start it up. I did use the pink persuader to put the catch-all cap back on. It just didn't want to go on by hand, so I gave it a little love tap with the back end of this. This ring didn't want to go on very easily. You can see it's got a little bit of play in it. I don't know if that's because I need to rebend the back a little bit different, but it doesn't want to go back all the way, but I think it's okay. Let me know what you guys think. Well, this concludes another series of OG's Fixin' Stuff. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope if you have an issue with your mixer, you can take care of it. If not, give us a call. We'll walk you through it. If you have any more ideas, let us know. Send us in requests, send us pictures of what you got going on, and we'll try to help you fix it. Until then, keep the landfills clear, keep fixing. OG out.